I love you, but if we have kids, I'd prefer they have my ex's genes. He's just more attractive," she said, scrolling through Pinterest while planning our wedding. I smiled and said, "Sounds logical." The next day, I canceled everything. She was at her final dress fitting. She called, confused. "What's wrong?" she asked. I replied calmly, "Go have beautiful kids with someone else." Before we dive in, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you want more shocking real-life stories. I'm Mark, 29, and I thought I had hit the jackpot with Jessica, 27. She was stunning, the kind of woman who stops traffic. I was average. 5'9", glasses, receding hairline. I took care of myself, went to the gym, dressed well, but I wasn't a model. I made up for it with grind. I built a software consulting firm from scratch, owned my house outright, and treated people with respect. Jessica loved the lifestyle I provided, our trips, our home, the security, but she always viewed our relationship as a merger, not a romance. She was the brand, I was the investor. The red flags were there, subtle and hidden behind Instagram filters. Jessica's obsession with aesthetics wasn't just about looking good, it was about optimizing everything. Coffee had to look perfect. Our living room had to be uncomfortably white because it looked cleaner on camera. She even had this weird fixation on her ex, Liam. Liam was a personal trainer, 6'4", jawline that could cut glass, and a full head of hair. He was broke, lived with roommates, and had even borrowed money from her in the past, money I paid off to avoid drama. She idolized him. We'd watch a movie, and she'd point out, "That actor has the same eye shape as Liam, strong, dominant trait." I brushed it off. "Yeah, he's good-looking, Jess, we get it." "No, Mark," she said, "it's biological currency. People treat you differently when you have symmetry like that." I didn't think much of it. We were just 4 weeks away from the wedding. I had already spent about $65,000 on deposits, venue, catering, band, everything she wanted. I loved her, so I paid. Then came the conversation that shattered everything. We were at the kitchen island, her iPad open with mood boards for our future family, beige linen-clad kids, minimalism, the dream aesthetic. "Mark," she said, tapping the stylus, "we need to talk about the timeline for kids." "Okay," I said, chewing my steak. "We said maybe a year after the wedding." "Yes," she said, eyes still on the iPad, "but I've been thinking logistics, variables." She looked up, eyes serious, almost pitying. "I love you, Mark. You're smart, stable, kind, but I want our children to have the absolute best start. Height, looks, opportunities. We need to be honest. The world is shallow. Pretty privilege is real. Height privilege is real." I put my fork down. "Okay." She leaned forward. "Mark, logically, if we want the best, we shouldn't use your DNA." "Adopt?" I whispered. "No," she said casually. "We'll carry the baby, but use a donor, specifically Liam." My stomach dropped. "Liam? Your broke ex?" "He's creative," she corrected, waving it off. "Remove ego. He's 6'4", perfect vision, perfect bone structure, no family history of disease. Combine his genes with mine, we guarantee an alpha child. You'd be the father on paper, raising him, molding his mind, but his body? Liam's. Best of both worlds." "Average traits?" I whispered. "Look at yourself, Mark," she said, gesturing to my glasses and height. "Why pass that on if there's a premium option? I already ran it by Liam. He's on board. Just a biological transaction." That was it. The love died. Not faded, it was decapitated. She had been planning my genetic replacement while I paid the bills. I wasn't a husband. I was a beta provider funding an alpha's offspring. I looked at her and saw entitlement, narcissism, and a total lack of respect. If I screamed, I'd be insecure. If I cried, emotional. If I argued, I'd be gaslit with logic. So I spoke her language, calmly, rationally. "You talked to Liam already?" she said, sensing victory. "Just hypothetically." "You know, you make a compelling case, Jess. It's about optimization, asset management. We shouldn't let ego get in the way of the product." Her face lit up. "I knew you'd understand. Most guys would be toxic. You're rational." "Sounds logical," I said. "Let me sleep on the logistics." That night, I didn't sleep. I didn't crunch spreadsheets. I opened my banking app. It was time to optimize my assets. The next morning, while she was at her final fitting, I was already planning my next moves, how to reclaim control over my finances, my home, and my life. She was dreaming of her genetically perfect designer baby, and I was about to restructure her world. The next morning, I woke early and checked my phone. Jessica's final fitting would start at 10. I knew she'd be there with her mother and bridesmaids, all giddy and oblivious to the storm that was about to hit. I wasn't going to wait for the wedding to collapse. I was going to make it vanish. I started with the finances. The joint wedding account held the bulk of my contributions. 90% of it had come from me. I transferred it all back to my primary business account, leaving only a token $400 for her share. Next, the credit cards. She had been an authorized user on my top cards. I removed her entirely. No access, no excuses. Then came the vendors. I drafted one simple email for all 12. Venue, florist, caterer, photographer. Due to unforeseen circumstances, the wedding is canceled effective immediately. Please cancel all pending orders. Non-refundable deposits are understood. Do not contact the bride, contact me directly. I hit send. The final step was the house. Legally, I couldn't evict her immediately, but I could make it inconvenient. I deleted her fingerprints from the smart lock, changed the garage code, and packed 2 suitcases of my own clothes. I booked a hotel suite downtown for the week. By 6 a.m., I was showered, dressed in my best suit, and ready. I moved with calm precision. When she woke, I was making coffee in the kitchen, playing the role of the unbothered partner. "Morning, babe," I said casually, handing her a mug. "Did you sleep okay?" she asked, still rubbing her eyes. "Just moved some assets around," I said lightly, thinking about how much control I had reclaimed. She smiled, oblivious. "I'm so glad you're on board with the donor thing. Shows how secure you are." "Secure," I smiled. Liam had texted her that morning, excited to help. She showed me. "If Mark is cool with it, I'm down to donate. Let's make a super baby." I stared at the screen. "He seems eager," she chirped, proud of her genetic plan. She left for the fitting, mumbling about the dress balance she would charge to her card. I kissed her forehead. "Have a great time, Jess. You deserve it." I waited until her card disappeared, then grabbed my suitcases and left the house. The timing was perfect. Her appointment started at 10. The credit card had already been canceled. When she tried to pay for the dress, the transaction was declined twice. Panic, embarrassment, the perfect opening. I answered her frantic call calmly. "Hey, honey, how's the dress?" "There's an issue. The card isn't going through," she said, her voice tight. Her mother's voice murmured in the background. "Did you forget to pay?" I asked. "No, just unlock it. Call them," she stammered. "I canceled the card this morning. The wedding is off," I said. My voice was flat, unshakable. "What? Is this a joke?" I reminded her of her proposal, her obsession with Liam, and her disregard for me as a husband. "If I'm not good enough to father your children, I'm not good enough to fund your life." She screamed, sobbed, tried to convince me she'd been scared, that she didn't care about genetics, only about me. I stayed calm. "You were arrogant. You wanted to curate a family without the reality of a husband. You wanted the aesthetic without the responsibility. I can't risk polluting my bloodline with entitlement and narcissism." She begged, pleaded, tears streaming, but I had already made my choice. "Go have beautiful kids with someone else. The house is locked. I'll send a time next week for your things. Do not contact me again." I hung up and blocked her. For 3 days, I stayed at the hotel, productive like never before. No debates over napkin colors, no Pinterest mood boards, no manipulation. I worked, I planned, I healed. Then came the day of the move-out. I wasn't going alone. I hired a security guard and a contractor to change the locks after she left. When she arrived in a U-Haul with her dad, she looked diminished. The glamour, the poise, all gone. Her dad kept his eyes low. He knew.
He had always been a quiet, humble man, uncomfortable with Jessica's high-maintenance ways. The security guard instructed her to sign for garage-only retrieval. She complied. I stayed detached, checking my phone, giving her space to see the consequences of her choices. She pleaded to talk, trying to reach the man she thought I was. I reminded her that man had died the night she proposed a child using someone else's genetics. There was nothing left to salvage. Her tears fell silently as her father loaded the last box. She waited, hoping I'd crack, hoping I'd be the nice guy, but I didn't. The locksmith arrived 5 minutes later. I watched them drive away, a U-Haul of broken dreams. 6 months later, a friend told me Jessica was dating a guy from her gym, tall, aspiring model, broke as a joke. She got the aesthetic she wanted, but she was paying the cost every day, both literally and figuratively. As for me, I started dating Sarah, a pediatrician. She's smart, funny, beautiful. We cook together, we laugh together. She has bad vision and jokes. I hope our kids get your eyes. I smiled. They'll need glasses, I teased. She shrugged and kissed me. Smart guys wear glasses. Logical. For the first time in a long time, I felt like life had finally aligned with my own values.